Hello guys, my name is Spiros Katsos and today we're going to see how we can use Entity Framework order by method to order our data by passing just a string that represents the property name that we want our data to be ordered by. Let's go and take a quick look to our project. I have an entities folder with a hero entity which has an ID, a first name, a last name and a hero name, and in my persistence folder I have an app.db context that has a DB set of heroes, and I have commented out the code needed to enable sensitive data logging because we're not going to need it yet. I have already added a migration and I have populated my database with some data. So let's go back to our program, and in here I have a method to print a list of heroes so we can visualize the results. And I also have a getHeroes method that returns a list of heroes and accepts our app.db context and the string that represents the property that we want to order by our data. Now, as you can see, as my code is now, I have to switch that order by to check for the four cases that we can order our data, meaning the ID, the first name, the last name and the hero name, and that's not very useful because we have to switch every property in our model. And if we had the second entity, we would have to use a different method. If we had the third entity, a third method, and etc. That would result to an awful lot of code. I will remove that switch statement, and in here I will just say return app.db context dot heroes dot order by, and in here I just need to say ef property, and all I need to pass is the entity and the strings that represent the property that we want data to be ordered by. So order, what was it? Order by, and then to return the list. So I will go and debug our application to see that everything works fine. So as you can see, we have our data back, first order by the first name, then by the last name, then by the hero name, and finally by the ID. So that's just one line of code, but there is a caveat to that. There are some cases that we won't discuss here, but we can in another video if you want, that may lead to missing or duplicate results. So how we can tackle this problem? We need, after we order by the property that we want, to order them again by the ID, because the ID is the key. So we need to order them again by a key. Now that leads us again to the first problem we have, because we need to create for each entity a different method so that we can use that then by. Now to solve that, I will go into my hero class and I will create an interface, and I will call that I has int key, and in here I will have an int property which will be called ID, so my hero will implement the I has int key. Now probably if that's your domain model and you don't already have your entities to implement or inherits from something that defines a key in your database, maybe you don't want to have that I has int key interface in your domain just for the entity framework, and that would be a good case of using different DB context for your writes and reads. So for your reads you would have some read model that will implement that I has int key. Anyway, let's go now back to our program, and we will make that method generic, so it will return a list of t, and we will also accept an I queryable of t instead of the DB context. So I queryable of t, and we need to add, let's call that queryable, and we need to add a constraint that t, where t implements the I has int key. So in here we need to say that queryable dot order by, and since that t implements the I has int key, we can use that then by id, and now we have one method with just one line of code which can order all of our entities. So in here, instead of the context, now we'll pass that heroes DB set, and now let me go and enable the sensitive logging so we can see that the SQLite will be executed. Okay, let's debug our app again. And as you can see, first we order by the first name, then by the ID, then by the last name, and then by the IDE, and finally by hero name, and then by the IDE. So as I said again, we have one method with just one line of code that takes an iQueryable and the string that represents the property that we want our data to be ordered by, and it can order all of our entities. Another way to achieve the same thing is by using an interceptor, but that will require us to deal with expression, which is not what most people prefer. And anyway, I think that generic method is very helpful, because in here we can do all the sort of filtering that's not specific to a single entity, for example that order by, or some skipping and taking. So that's all I had for this one. If you like the video and you wanna see more, please like and subscribe. Thank you for watching and have a nice one.